What up, Eagle Talk fam? It's your girl, Rosemary Lewis, and I am so excited about this special episode because I am sitting with somebody who I chased them down to be my friend. So y'all, Corey gave us the stage. Look, he's like, I'm gonna just let you and Dynette have at it, but he will be back next week for a really fun episode. But today I get to have a conversation with my really good friend, and we're gonna talk about the importance of having just some solid people with you when you are on this entrepreneur journey. Yeah. So welcome, girlfriend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell the people who you are.
My name is Dynette Davis, and I am the owner of Dymensions Educational Consulting. I also am the founder of Dymensions Education Foundation, and I'm a trustee here in Frisco, Texas, for the Frisco Independent School District.
Look at her. Look, sprinkling all that black girl magic. Look, I just love it. So Dynette and I both are originally from Chicago.
Yes, Chi-Town stand up.
And most people that know us think that we met in Chicago. Mm-mm. And that is not true.
Nope, not at all.
So do you want to give your recollection of events or would you like me to give mine?
You go ahead and give yours and I'll just give some feedback.
Okay, y'all. So first of all, I feel like I saw Dynette like at church. We go to a pretty large church. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I've seen her like from across the room. And, you know, when I first got to Texas, like I know her from somewhere, but didn't know where I knew her from. So one day I go to church on a Saturday night and I see I always say DePaul, but it was not DePaul.
It was DePaul.
It was DePaul. Okay, because I think I say Loyola before. You corrected me.
Yeah.
So her license plate, she was driving the little Benz, and look, let me not make it. I mean, it literally was a short Benz. So I'm not
C300.
I'm not discounting your Benz. Okay, you know how people like your little business. No, it was the smaller Benz, and it had a DePaul license plate around it. I was like, oh, somebody from Chicago. Y'all, I literally stayed in the parking
Yes, I remember that.
lot until Dynette was walking out, and I want to say that you're walking out with one of your girls, and I want to say that it was Sasha.
It was Sasha.
And I'm just so Dynette is a self-proclaimed introvert. You call yourself an introvert, extrovert?
I'm a functioning introvert.
Okay. So she functions, right?
I do. I function well.
So she coming from church, you know, getting her praise on with her kid, mm-hmm. and just trying to go to her car. And here I am. Hey, are you from Chicago? And she like
out of nowhere, y'all. She came out of nowhere. Like she must have been hiding behind her car.
I was in my car.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. And I'm like, are you from Chicago? And she, you know how somebody like I'm talking to her, but she's kind of easing back to the car, and I'm like, no, I know your face. Like when I saw it was her, and I'm like, I've seen your face, and I have to figure out where I know you from. And it turns out that we really had never met, but we had like tons of connections.
So many connections.
So many connections.
Yeah, starting with my best friend.
Yes.
Sharice. You all grew up together.
Yep.
Sharice and I met in college. And then with Corey, Corey grew up in the same area that I did, and he happened to be one of my brother's very close friends.
Yep. And that's something that we bonded over because Dynette's brother passed away unexpectedly, tragically. And when we figured out, I knew her brother by name, but I didn't know his family. And when she said, "Oh, your husband knew my brother Zach," and I was like, "Oh." I remember, and immediately I was like, "Oh my God!" I feel like I just hugged you.
Yep, we did hug.
and again, she was like, "Okay, this is weird." And I was like, I went through the same thing.
Yes.
And that may have been why I wore you down.
I'm not. First of all, you didn't wear me down. You did not wear me down. She was very, very patient with me. I was fresh out of Chicago, y'all. So we all know that we can be kind of
we different.
Yes, very different.
We different.
And so I think that once I realized that you were solid, then
look, I was online. She was vetting me. And what's interesting is that when we had that first meeting, we were both in the educational space.
Yes.
I was an elementary school teacher. Mm-hmm. You were teaching on a collegiate level.
Yes.
And I feel like we both came out of those spaces around the same time.
Yep, around the same time. I think 2019 for me.
Okay, so I was 2017, but you'd already started your business.
Oh, yes.
But it wasn't full time until 2019.
We'll actually be celebrating 10 years in January.
Oh, God.
So we started in 2013.
Oh
yes.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit, because we're getting acquainted as friends. We're doing brunch. We're getting to know each other. And now we find ourselves both in this entrepreneur space and totally different businesses.
Yes.
Right? Because tell us explain a little bit more about your business and what you were building at the time and how it came about.
So my business now does we do multiple things as it relates to education, but we started out just tutoring K through 12. Just like you shared, I went into higher education, and of course, coming from the classroom as an elementary teacher to higher ed, there was a pay cut.
Yeah.
And so I started Dymensions. We started right in the Barnes & Noble inside Stonebriar Mall. So after school on the weekends, I would pack the girls up and we would go up to Barnes & Noble, and my clients would come in one at a time until it was time for me to find my location, which is where I am now.
Okay.
In Plano.
Yep.
And so now we have grown where we're offering not only K through 12 tutoring, but college planning, test preparation, and we're consulting other businesses where we're writing curriculum.
Oh, wow.
So really excited about that.
That is so awesome. And let's talk about why. So one thing so y'all imagine when I met Dynette is like queen of education. Like my son was probably a freshman, sophomore in high school. I'm like, girl, college, she's like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. But your story, like, you didn't go straight through. I love how you got to this path. So talk about that.
And I do love to talk about my story. I love to share it because most people will look at the end result, which is where I am now, a doctorate degree, right? And they think, oh, she went through and very never traditional.
Because you're only about 10. You look 10.
I attended Illinois State University for 2 years, and then I took a 10-year break between Illinois State and DePaul.
Wow.
And when I took that 10-year break, I worked. I became a mom, and I'm sure we'll talk about that some.
Yeah.
And I decided to go back actually because of that baby that you met in the parking lot, Sasha. She was 3. She looked up at me and said, Mom, I want to be just like you when I grow up. I want to be a mom. And I really had to do some
and no shade to being a mom, but you were kind of like, wait a minute.
I wanted to give her some other things to aspire to be.
Exactly.
And so I submitted my application to DePaul, my transcripts from Illinois State, and they said, you have about 2 years. And so I made a deal with her. I told her that I would graduate the same year she did from kindergarten. And so we graduated together in 2009.
That is awesome. So in 2009, look, I don't want to give away your age. Do you care about people knowing your age? Okay, so in 2009, you had that 10-year break. So how old were you when you graduated college?
Ooh, I was 31.
Listen, and I just say
31.
that because you know how it is. Like I can think of so many people who I was in school with, they stepped out. And first of all, I will say education is not for everybody. Like higher ed isn't for everybody because everyone isn't on a track where it makes sense. So, and you're an advocate of that. Like get a skill, like just don't quit.
Just do something.
Do something. But how many people think it's too late?
Oh, so many people. And that's when I usually just kind of interject and share my story. Yeah. Because I was making great money. And in my opinion, at that time, I didn't think I needed a degree. But I knew deep down inside that I still really loved and valued education. Yeah. And if I was going to get a degree, it was going to be that one. Wow. And so after that 2009 graduation, I went on to obtain 2 additional master degrees. And ultimately where I am now with my doctorate.
Listen, Dr. Dynette, oh Lord.
Dr. Mom, I told the kids, Dr. Daughter, I mean, everything. It was a lot, but we're here.
Yes, because everyone helped you along the way.
Everyone.
So you talked about being a mom, and you already alluded to that was a different path to that journey. And I think that is one of the most fascinating parts about your story. So can you share that with the Eagle Talk fam?
Absolutely. So I'm an adoptive parent. For those that don't know, I have 3 beautiful, amazing girls, Sasha, London, and Autumn. And I became a mother in like a 24-hour time frame.
And how old were you, Dynette?
Oh, 25.
Listen.
I was 25. I was engaged to be married. And the gentleman that I was engaged to did not want children. And so I chose the girls and decided that I would raise them on my own. And I'm almost finished.
Listen, let me tell you something. Y'all, my mama just went to be with the Lord not too long ago. You never finished, right? She's still parenting me from heaven. So you're never finished. But y'all, do you hear that? So what I hear is resilience, right? 25-year-old single Black, like you had to make a decision on what makes sense for you. And your daughters, you saw a need, and you saw that you were able to fill that need. Now were you rich at the time? Did you have a palatial house, like where circumstances like, yes, I can do this, I have nothing but money to spend on these girls?
Honey, no. We when Sasha was born, I actually lived in Woodridge, Illinois, in a 1-bedroom apartment. And when I first got her, I would drive to Matson to drop her off for my grandmother to keep her, jump on the train, go downtown to work, get back on the train, come to Matson, and then we would go back out to Woodridge. That lasted for about a year. Wow. And then my grandmother said, hey, I need you to just come
and live with us.
Yeah. Stay with us. We want to help you. We can do this together. And we did. I agreed that I was going to purchase a home by the time Sasha turned 2. And on June 29th, just before her second birthday, she's September, I received a call from the hospital saying that Sasha had a little sister.
Oh my goodness. So you weren't prepared for that? Did you know that the little sister was in utero? No. Okay.
No.
Because you know sometimes, the birth parents.
Yes, absolutely. So the birth parents, the birth father is actually my uncle. Okay. He's my mom's brother. And no, I had no idea that she was coming. We received that call and my grandmother said, go get her. Oh. Went to get her, named her, brought her home, and began the adoption process for her. By the time she turned 2, the adoption process was complete. About 6 months after that, I closed on our first home in Richton Park.
Wow. That is amazing. Absolutely.
And no, I wasn't paid. It was not a wealthy situation, but God provided.
Yeah, you had heart capacity.
He did.
That's what I love about the Lord, because he fills in the gaps, right? And I like everything that you've done, and we'll get into the campaign and all that stuff. Like I see your girls by your side, and I just think of what the trajectory of their life could have looked like if it's like David, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure at the time it's like I feel called to do this, but ooh, I don't have all the pieces.
Am I equipped?
And you did not let that stop you. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so then you and the girls picked up, y'all moved to Texas.
We did. We moved to Texas in 2012. So we've been here for 10 years.
10 years,
yep,
okay.
We've been here for 10 years. London was in 2nd. Sasha was in 4th. And March 3rd, just before our move date, which was June 1st, I feel like,
Yeah, as soon as I start doing something.
Autumn was born. So it was a similar situation.
Did you know Autumn was coming? Okay.
It was a similar situation.
So another biological sister.
Yes.
And you did what you needed to do.
Did what we needed to do. But this time, we were actually in the process of relocating here. And so Autumn stayed in Chicago with my mother.
Okay.
While the adoption process was
going through.
And so I would go back home once a month. And then at the end of the adoption process, went back to Chicago, packed up my mom, packed up Autumn, and they came here. Now, some things took place in between that. Yeah. We lost my grandmother. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then my mom was diagnosed with cancer twice.
Wow.
During that process. So I'm like, I'm bringing her home. She's just going to come, here. And when she decided to come here, she thought she was coming because she needed us. But man, oh man.
Right. Didn't he know? That's how it works out. Like y'all needed each other.
We did.
Y'all needed each other.
We absolutely did.
No, like every time I hear that, and I know you, but I'm just like, man, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I could take a kid right now. I probably I can.
Right.
But like just making room and capacity. And I just see like how God has just honored your faithfulness.
Oh, girl.
That,
he has.
so yes, you like, that's beautiful. And I hear a lot there though, like, because, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you on the podcast, because, you know, you're still, look, she got suitors, y'all. Like Dynette, y'all see she fine. If you listen on the podcast, she fine. So Dynette keeps suitors, right? But everything is not about her girls from the standpoint of I can't live my life, but you're intentional about your relationships. And as of right now, you're unmarried, right? We ain't gonna give away information if you got a boo thing, but everything that you've been able to accomplish, you did not let. I cannot tell you in the real estate space or just in the friend space, people tell me, oh, that's because you got Corey, or, you know, and I can't say that it is or it's not, because that's just the way my story was. Right. Or I will buy a house when I do this. Like, what should I do as a single woman? And you are like, you don't have to, you have not waited until you had a husband to help you pay for a doctorate to go get one.
Absolutely.
So what has that looked like for you?
It's a challenge, but it's also very rewarding.
Yep.
On paper, a lot of the things that I've been able to acquire and do, I really shouldn't be able to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But God.
Right.
As it relates to relationships and things like that, you when you're in the type of space that I am in with girls, I have 3 girls. And so, yes, I have been extremely intentional about who I surround them with, who I allow into their space, because our home is their haven. Right. And I'm mom. If I mess up, there's no one to fall back on. And so I've been very intentional over the years, and still am.
You are, and not only that, like, I can remember you, because me, you know, I'm like, everybody, you be my friend. You have pulled me to the side. I have a more discerning spirit now. But
Amen.
Like, I'm like, don't invite me to brunch with her no more.
Amen.
And you better not go back.
And a few slipped through the cracks, but I'm here. Oh, you did, yeah.
But this is hilarious. But so I appreciate that. So like now let's fast forward to, and I know that like I was so excited. Dynette ran for Frisco ISD trustee in 2020. Yes. Right. You started the process, and then the whole pandemic delayed everything.
Yes.
Let's talk about that and the significance of that, and why it kind of pissed you off that it was significant. Because I know you kind of
thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So in 2020, I decided in 2019, but I filed to run in a historic race, right, for the Frisco Independent School District as a school board trustee. And our municipal elections are normally in May.
Yeah.
COVID hit in March. Right around April, they told us that they were going to delay our election cycle. They were going to push it out to November, which was the presidential election.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was.
So we paused the campaigning from April through June, and then picked back up.
Because Texas opened up in June, y'all.
Absolutely. And so we then went through and they placed us on that November ballot. And so I was on the ballot with Kamala Harris, my sorority sister. Yeah. I was really excited about that. But I was the only African American that was on the ballot for our municipal elections.
Yeah.
Later, to earn over 55,000 votes, I was the single most voted for trustee in the history of Frisco Independent School District.
Oh my wow!
And so that was indeed an honor. I was really excited about being on that ballot. And
eventually became the first African American, not just African American woman, but the first African American. And I would be like, my friend's the first African American. You were like, yeah, that's cool, but
it's 2020.
It's 2020. So it's like you were like,
I remember a news person came to me, a journalist came, and they wanted to do an interview. And they were like, how does it feel? What are your thoughts about being the first African American to sit on the school board? I said, we have 73 schools. Frisco has been around for a long time, 1908 to be exact.
Yeah.
And I am the first, yes. but it doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
That this actually took place in 2020.
Yeah.
And so while I am grateful for everyone that supported me and that voted for me, I knew right then that we had more work to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In creating a diverse environment for not only our children, but people that were relocating to our community. And so since then, we now have a African-American woman council, a councilwoman. I sit alongside 11 African-American women that sit on school boards across the city of Dallas.
That's awesome.
And then I mentor a few trustees of color that have come in since 2020. So
that's awesome.
It's exciting.
And you know what? And I will even say that I am guilty of it. This year I am joining PTO. And not just writing my check.
Yes.
Right. But actually joining, because last year, and it's a catch-22, because we live in very affluent communities, right? And I think that when I was in Chicago, I felt like they needed me up there, right? And I did not realize that the kids still need to see us, and they need to see the diversity. And I went to Cameron's. I just signed up on a whim for Career Day, and the little brown girls at his school, because keep in mind, and I used to teach in the school, so I know that there's like one black teacher or two, just a couple black teachers, if that. Like if you got 3 black folks on the campus, like you are diverse, like right. and they in all the pictures too. But with the little girls that came up to me like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, you do this, you're like, and even though their moms are in industry and all that, it just made a big difference to, and not even just for the brown kids, but for the kids that look different, because the reality is that if we don't raise our hand to say, hey, here I am, I'll go, we cannot we can't be mad when we are not represented.
Right.
So I appreciate that. Now, one last thing I want to just touch on before we get out of here, and because she got a lot of trustee things to do. Like I was so surprised that you had capacity to meet.
Honey, I moved some things around. There's no way I wouldn't have been here.
I love you. And Dynette was actually a part of Eagle Talk Live, the first live event, and we're going to do it again. She's going to be part of it again. But here is one unique thing, is that I think something that grew our friendship was when we were both starting out, right? When you came full-time, when I was full-time in my business. We have 2 totally different businesses, but we would meet
mastermind.
And
sometimes we didn't even know what we were masterminding
about.
We didn't know
what we were saying.
But before the mastermind became a mastermind, it was me and you, baby.
Yep. We would sit there and we would talk, and this is when, like, I know for me, I was just really struggling with a lot of mindset stuff, right? Just like what am I doing in this space, and not having someone in my industry that I shared that connection with. But it was like, but Dynette, I remember when you announced you left the school. I'm like, wait, you left the college? Girl, what you doing Tuesday? And then they closed down our place.
Closed it down.
Look, they closed down our office.
They opened it and closed it in the same year.
It didn't survive the pandemic.
That's okay. It did not. But I had an office.
We should have ordered food. That's the problem. But the thing is, we wanted to get out of your office. We wanted to open it up.
I remember that. Yes. We did.
But let's talk about and whether it's me or other people, I definitely think for entrepreneurs there is some value in linking arms with people who are either at or going where you're going. And again, you're not trying to be a real estate agent. I'm for darn sure not trying to be a trustee. But how has that impacted you, and what does that look like in your life, in your entrepreneurship journey? Just linking arms and learning and growing with others.
I think that whole linking in the arms and making sure that you're connected to individuals that are like-minded is significant to the growth of your business, whatever that business may be. I learned very early on that it was important to have people that were of the same mindset at the table with you, in the room with you. When you felt as though something wasn't working within your business or the structure of your business, you don't call someone that has never been an entrepreneur.
Right. They be like, girl, you better go back to that good job.
You better go get with the insurance. With the insurance.
And side note, how many of y'all, look, I just want to tell y'all, okay, let me just say something right quick. If you are afraid to step out, like don't be stepping out in entrepreneurship if you're not called to it. That's number one, because everyone is not called to entrepreneurship. But if you have something in your heart and you worried about insurance, like insurance hold me back. And now when I look at how reasonable it is, because I think it's becoming more reasonable for self-employed people, I'm like, I let this little money hold me back all the time. But okay, keep going.
So that's very important. It's important to have people. And I think that was our connection outside of, or in addition to, our friendship. Yeah. And just believing in each other. Yeah. Having fans within your group of entrepreneurial friends. I'll forever be your cheerleader. Yeah. Whatever direction you choose to go in, I don't care what it is. And if you say I'm gonna sell water bottles, I'm like, let's get it.
And literally, y'all, the day I got my license, they're like, call this guy. He want to buy a house, and he was my first client. Like, then you did that.
That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. Yes. And I have been very intentional about making sure that the people that become entrepreneurs after me have the things that I didn't. Yeah. And that's having solid support, making sure that the people that you are surrounding yourself with are for you. You have no time for naysayers.
No time. None. Look, what's Kanye say? All the pessimists, we ain't talk to them at all. Y'all, listen, only one thing makes me sad right now in this moment.
This went so fast.
That we don't have enough time. We don't have more time. But I am going to we're going to have you back. We have another platform. You got to be back several times. And I love you, sis. I'm so grateful for you.
I love you too.
Yay. Now, if someone wants to know, because you support education, you have a book out, all this stuff, how can they reach you?
They can visit our website. It's www.Dymensions. That's DYMENSIONS education.com. They can also look me up. Just Google me. I'm in and around the Frisco area.
She's Googleable. Look, that was one of my goals in life, to be Googleable.
Like, Google me. So absolutely. Happy to support new entrepreneurs. I have a project too that I'm working on. I'll tell you about it off the air.
Okay. Yay. Well, y'all, thank you so much for just being a part of this episode. Thank you, Dynette. I love you more than you know.
I love you.
And I appreciate you. All right. See y'all next week.
Bye.